we are. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the 17 Club Men's Mastermind. And this morning, before we get revved up with our topic of the day, last week we brought up the subject of, hey, how you doing on your definite chief aim, your definite purpose in life? And, that's the foundational principle of the science of personal achievement. And before I hit record, Zach had shared some perspective on that, and I thought it would be valuable for all of us to hear his perspective and what he shared with us earlier. So, Zach, I'm going to give it to you before we start off with everything else. Go for it, brother.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, Frank. Um, yeah, I was just getting into the fact that Frank was asking us last week, what is our definiteness of purpose, and are we really in alignment with that as we move day to day? And it made me want to reflect back on what mine was, and mine was what I felt was simple. It was just change the world. So I went back and I reflected on it and I reread the question, the main question, what is your biggest goal? The one thing that if you achieved it would make you feel like you had attained success. And so that was probably something that came to my mind fairly quickly. I want to change the world. But after putting some more thought into it, I felt like it was maybe not specific enough and maybe uh, didn't didn't give enough opportunity for my mind to really understand what that means. And so I just added a little bit of detail, and I think there's more that I will probably add to this in the future. But I reflected on some words: acceptance, discipline, connection, alignment with myself. And again, I'll probably add more there. Financial freedom slash independence, help people grow and develop, help the world. So, um, yeah, but I appreciate that insight last week, Frank, and it definitely sparked something in me to want to go back and reflect on some things and just evaluate what I've been doing. So,
Right,
thank
yeah.
you.
Hey, Zach, thank you so much for sharing that, and for everyone in the room, I often say, it's great to have goals and ambitions, but you can't just wish them, you can't just dream them, you have to actually act on them. And so, are you doing the work? And when Zach just shared that with us earlier, I started to think of, he's doing the work. He heard something in one of our sessions. He went back to the beginning and said, okay, what do I have here? Where am I going? And then Luis added it. He said, it's okay to question. It's okay to question what you wrote down last week, last month, last year. It's okay to look at it and say, what did I really mean when I wrote that down? Change the world. That's a very powerful statement. But what does it mean? And what are the steps it's going to take for you to change the world? And in what way do you plan to change the world? Because there are so many different ways. So one of the reasons I asked Zach to share that with us, because I know I go through the same process, and I know each one of you will go through the same process too. You may not admit it, but you sometimes wonder, yeah, what do I want? Because really, that's the question. When it comes to definite purpose, it's answering the question, what do I want? And some people have asked me, Frank, what are you talking about? What do I want for lunch? What do you mean? No, no, what do you want your life to look like? What do you want your life to look like 30 days from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, 10 years from now? What do you want it to look like? And by the way, each one of those guideposts is going to be a little bit different because you're going to have more experience. I see your hand up, Phil, and also Albert. Go ahead. Phil, go ahead first, then we'll go to Albert.
Yeah, it's a great way to start off this, and for myself as well too. I was challenging the thinking in my mind would have been like, okay, well, am I doing this for me, or am I doing this because it's really my purpose? And then I started to go deeper in studying this, with Bob Proctor. And what it came down to is, am I forcing something, or is it flow naturally? If we're aligned with that purpose, it flows naturally. And it's not about our ego or about us. It's about how am I serving humanity? How do we, in this moment, can I leave you better off? So it feels lighter. It's tapped into intuition. And if it's the ego, it's something you're trying to force because you're afraid of looking bad. Like I hear people misrepresent the idea of purpose is that, oh, my purpose is to like get this check so I can go to the grocery store, or I can buy this house, so I can buy this car, so I can drive my wife around or drive the kids around, that kind of thing. Um, that's really not aligned with my purpose. My purpose is serving, and because I serve first, the cause and effect. I am the cause. The effect will be that we receive the returns on that when I'm aligned with purpose. And that takes a discipline and all these principles, which we'll get into, like also the accurate thinking we'll get into a little bit later too.
Yeah, yeah, love that. Thanks, Phil. Albert.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Phil was saying, but I think that what we're missing is the clarity. So, the definite chief aim of changing the world. In my definite chief aim, that's part of what I'm doing, changing the world for the betterment in cybersecurity and unlocking the minds of 8 billion people. Those are specific details which need to be introduced into the subconscious in order for those conditions to come into your reality. Changing the world is too broad, too vague, and doesn't give the details that my feeble mind can't discertain until I include what am I changing the world for? So just be specific when you write things down. And here is two opportunities. One is, who is the person that is changing the world? This is your self image. Write a paragraph, write a page, write a chapter, write a whole freaking book if you want. But who is that person in your mind that you see doing this? Is it you right now? Describe you. Who are you? And then the second opportunity is to write a day in the life of that person. This is, what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? What do you see around you? You know, when I was teaching the morning study, self discipline camp, we would meditate and walk into the room that we wanted to be in. We would see people around us that we knew and didn't know. We would see activities going on around us. We would see our environment. They're all different from where you are now. Document that. Live in that reality, and you will be there. That's what I had to add.
Yeah. Hey, Albert, thank you so much for what I call finishing the nail, right? You get that nail almost in, but you want to get it sunk below the wood line. So boom, you finish it. And the question that I was taught to ask myself when I identify something I want to accomplish, what my definite major purpose is, then you have to ask the next question. Who do I have to become to get that, to achieve that? Who do I have to become? And the story I remember most vividly, I don't remember if I shared it with you guys last week or if it was in the book study last week, but Darren Hardy, who's a major coach to millionaires, he was the editor of Success Magazine for some time. He's written a couple of books. One of the best, one of my favorites is The Compound Effect. It aligns really well with some of the lessons that we're learning in Atomic Habits. The compound effect is just it's small, simple actions that change things over time. And Darren once said, he told us a story about identifying his perfect soulmate, his perfect partner in life, his wife. He wanted to identify who's the woman I want to be living with for the rest of my life. And I think he said he wrote like something like 40 pages of the description, 40 pages describing the woman that he wanted to spend his life with. And when he finished, he then had to ask himself, Who is the man that I have to become to attract that person? And that was another 40 pages of describing who he had to become to be able to attract that. So all of us, when we're looking at what are our goals, some of you in the room don't even have your definite purpose yet. And that was the first principle we talked about at the beginning of this study, right? What's your definite major purpose in life? And it's because if you don't have it yet, it's okay. But you got to figure it out. Because if you don't figure it out, you're going to be drifting. And when we drift, we don't accomplish the things we want to accomplish. But once you figure it out and you put it on paper, then ask the question, who do I have to become to achieve that? And that's how you start to create your action plan, your steps, your daily routines of what you need to do to accomplish that mission. All right. So go ahead, Zach. I see your hand up, buddy. Thanks for starting the conversation, man.
Absolutely. Albert, I really appreciate that insight. And Phil, you as well, man. Thank you both very much. As you were sharing that, Albert, um, yeah, who is the person who is changing the world? Is it me? Right? A day in the life of that individual. That's super intriguing. And I look forward to um, working on that exercise. I mean, and embodying who I am and who I'm becoming. But I was also reflecting and thinking that my definiteness of purpose is dynamic, and it should be. Writing it down is a good place to start. It's a good place to begin. And I don't think that it should ever be static. It's something that can grow and develop as I grow and develop. And so I look forward to the changes that will come from it and the obstacles that will grow and all of that. So that was just something that I wanted to add is that it's something that I feel should be dynamic. So
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. The word dynamic, it means it's always moving. It's a living process, right? Yes, be dynamic. And don't, it's not engraved in stone. My background as a Marine, it's like, no, this is the mission. Well, no, the freaking mission changes depending on the circumstances, right? And so you
And so
have to
does the
be.
route to the goal for that mission.
Exactly. You have to be flexible. And so many of us think, well, no, this is the goal I set. This is what I have to do. Well, no, that's the goal you set, but now things have changed. The mindset's changed, the circumstance, the environment has changed, and you have to change with it or you're going to be stuck in the mud. Go ahead, Leroy.
Yeah, first, can I go ahead and read the purpose statement? Because something came up that made me think of that. It's like, well, that's our, you know, part of the purpose. So if
Go
I may,
for it,
I'll go ahead and
Leroy.
read.
Absolutely.
Building disciplined men of purpose who take responsibility, act with intention, and serve others. This is where we study the science of personal achievement and to support, encourage, and hold each other accountable on their journey toward their personal or professional definite chief aim. So yeah, that just speaks so much to me is this is a place where it it tightens it tightens the uh, I want to say noose around like it you say you want this, okay, what are you going to do to get it? Are you willing to take the steps to get it? Because it takes something to step out of your comfort zone to get what you want. So this is it's really speaking to me like, okay, what have I been doing the last while to really uh, get what I want? And so and you said the goal has changed because all there when I started at NHI, nothing looks at all what I expected it. Part of the journey here has, you know, we never know what we're going to meet on the journey, but we know where we want to be. So, uh, yeah, just go with it. If something needs to be changed, let's change it. And so, and this morning on the self-discipline call, we heard Earl Nightingale talk about accurate think. Obviously, I didn't hear him say it, but one of the people on the call heard it and he talked about it. I was like, wow, this is, you know, And I challenged us all on the call, did we write down what we want? Do we write? And he talked about writing down 20 ideas a day, and everybody was like, "Well, I don't have any ideas." I was like, Is that true, or is that a fact, or is that just an opinion?" So I challenged us all to do that. So that's what I had to share.
Yeah, I love it. Kind of ironically, Roy, your topic today is accurate thinking. And look, Earl is speaking to you from the ether and the earth, right? So before we go to the topic today, I'm going to give Alex an opportunity, and Michael has his hand up as well. Go ahead, Alex.
Hey, hello guys. I really connect the Albert say because now I'm a change all things on my life. I'm quit on my job. I feel my dreams now. And Luis help me help me because I have really fear and my big dream now is help the people to work to find the best version like exercise um, I give the jump faith now really I'm scared but Luis tell me something if you have faith you don't need the fear because you really have faith and yes he have a reason now I know I feel all my faith in my project, my life project is I am, and 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 I want to be coach. I want to be teach karate for the childrens, for the young people, the adult people too, because we need make the exercise. You know what I want to say. Um, I want. This is my dream. Luis, you are here. Yes. Who I can say que es mi vocación, Luis? Can you help me?
I know he's on the golf course right now, Alex, with his watching his son play in a tournament. So I'm not sure if he's able to speak. Yeah, here he comes.
Yeah, it's his call. That's what he was. His
So,
call.
Lu Louise, Alex is asking you a question.
Yeah, it's his call. What he's asking is,
It's his calling.
how do we call it? Yes, his calling. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's your calling.
Yes, the really I want now. I know. I work for try to find who I am,
Yeah.
and and in my process for find who I am, I know one thing. I want to be a teacher. I want to teach the things I know in my mind, forgive the people. Yes, this is my dream. This is my. I feel that, and I give the jump faith, and I feel great. I feel better. I feel free.
Alex, congratulations. You said,
Thank
I
you, God.
found my dream. I have my passion. I know what I want to do. That all spells the beginning of a burning desire. And if you focus on those things every single day and maintain the faith, because faith is the opposite of fear. They live in the same room, but as long as you have faith, you can overcome your fears. And if you know in your heart that this is what you truly want, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps just listening to you today. This is the reason that we started this mastermind, is to give men an opportunity to realize you don't have to chase the almighty dollar for the sake of chasing the almighty dollar. You want to chase your dreams, live the life that you want to live, impact other lives by the things that you're learning. So, congratulations. And everybody I noticed they were setting up emojis and everything else. Congratulations, my friend. This is that first step. All right. Michael, go ahead, brother.
Thank you.
That's fantastic, Alex. Well done, buddy. Well done. Well done. Um, I think this conversation is opium for this industry. And the reason I think that is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. For all the coaches in the room, or Alex, you want to help other people, right? We have to keep in mind the North Star that we're pushing towards, I think, in this particular. We have to, we're talking to where they are. And the tricky part for most people that want to serve others is they serve them from where they stand, from where they're standing, instead of from where their client or their person who wants to serve is standing. And what I'm getting at, you guys, is that this conversation here is what makes the coaching industry, the personal evolution industry, the self development industry feel fantastic. And yet, for the most part, it's also the same yin and yang that keeps it very stuck. Because as Frank was alluding to, if you don't have your major purpose, that's okay. But it feels like if you don't have it, you don't belong. And it is part of the how do I want to put this? I'm going to use the term marketing because it's just obviously forefront for me. But it's part of the marketing or the pitch of the concept. Not necessarily if you're in the business of anything, right? But if you want to help the person on the other side, us talking about having these destinations and what we want to do and what we want to accomplish doesn't necessarily unlock the same thing in the other person because they literally can't relate to what we're talking about, right? They are still in safety, they're still in belonging. They have no idea how to get to those other things that you're referencing. And um, I think as I said, it's an opiate conversation for this industry. It's necessary, guys. I think it's powerful. I think it is good, but it is also it's a spa day for us, right? You guys see what I'm getting at? It feels good to talk about it. It feels righteous to talk about it. It feels incredible to talk about it. That is a that is a chemical equation happening in the mind, flowing through the body, right? The fact is that self-actualization takes, as Bradford put it, action, 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 right? It takes a whole bunch of things. And Alex's discovery of what he wants is an incredible high. It's this amazing thing. And yet there'll be times during that process where the grind of achieving what it is going to feel like he's made the wrong choice. You will question your choice, and you're supposed to. That's what the faith is for. Right? As Frank said, they live in the same room. And so it's this particular conversation is always a tricky one from someone who sees this as how do I want to put this, a spiritual a very spiritual activity driven by a chemical equation. But it's like, but the fact is that this is one of those slippery slopes where we have to be really careful not to take the industry way into the deep self-help concepts that are wonderful to talk about, and yet for most people are completely impractical to apply because they're not even remotely in that spot of where they are in their evolution. And I'll finish off with me just touching back on the fact that my favorite quote from Friedrich Nietzsche once again is like, many are stubborn in pursuit of their actions, few in pursuit of their goals, right? Like Frank was talking about, he's kind of pursued the same mission in different iterations throughout his life. The toolkit's changed, the setting has changed. Obviously, he has changed, but the goal on some level has been the same. And so he has been on some level and rediscovering probably his stubborn pursuit of the goal, even though the actions themselves have shifted and evolved over time. Most people that we run into are completely dedicated to the action and not the goal. They will continue to perform the same foolish, destructive, really dangerous to themselves and other people and frustrating action rather than actually, take a look at the situation and assess things and evolve and then pursue the goal instead.
Yeah. Man, I love that, Michael. Words of wisdom. And most powerful thing here is, yes, when you see what it is that you want, It gives you that feeling of freedom. Alex, you used those words, I feel free. And that freedom feels wonderful. And then the reality comes into play. And so, what Michael was alluding to is that when reality starts to set in and you start to feel, like when I started teaching the 17 principles, people, what are you talking about? What is wrong? People start to, what are you smoking? What are you drinking? What's wrong with you? This isn't real life. No, it's not. It's a philosophy. And you live the philosophy. And I always used to speak, I still speak, when I speak with my coaches and my clients, I said, are you living the philosophy? Stop teaching it, live it. So likewise, when you engage in your martial arts training and you want to share that excitement and that knowledge and that philosophy that you enjoy so much, we feel like we have to teach it. And I would suggest that we have to live it. And by living it, we do teach it. And so have faith, stay strong. I saw Luis have his hand up, and then we got to toss it over to Leroy because I know he has prepared. And I do believe that the topic accurate thinking is really important in this conversation. Go ahead, Luis.
The thing is, Alex is living. He's been training martial arts for almost 20 years. He's been teaching for around 100 years. He's been living it. He's been in different world championships, bronze medalists. He's been living it.
Nice.
So that's one thing. And the other thing is, I agree with you, Michael. He also feel the point that people don't see it because the teachers are not doing it. Just like what Brad is saying. When you have a coach that is living the life you want to live, one more good, one more good. So I agree. Fear, faith, and all that. But when you have the right person walking with you, showing you where to walk, it gets completely different. So I think that's part of the problem with the industry. So many people are coaches, they haven't reached success in a way that they're trying to sell it. That's that's my take on that. Not that we're not living the life.
All right.
He describes it. I'm sorry. I'm going on. That's a lot of
It's okay. That's okay. You're breaking up a little bit too, Luis.
Okay. Okay.
With that, Leroy, the floor is yours, my friend. Take over. Throw the rest of us out of the room. Go for it.
All right. I'd like to start off. I recently found a guy by the name of Joel Goldsmith. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of him. And he talked about creating an image. He said, whatever we fear, or if I can say it right now, we create an image, whatever we call something. He was referring to God in this situation, like whatever we call God, that's what he becomes in our mind. And I'm thinking the things that we see, like let's say I'm not good at something, that becomes an image in our mind, and that's why people can't understand because we're coming in trying to get them to change without changing the image. And so the image has to change first, I believe, is how before the person can actually. So I trust that you all read the chapter on accurate thinking. So there's seven laws, I believe, seven laws of accurate thinking. And so I put it in ChatGPT, and I the first one is, have you ever believed something strongly only later to realize it wasn't true? So how many of us have done that? You know, does anybody have a point they would like to share on that they have thought so strongly this was true, Albert, I see you waving your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, and usually it'll pick up and it'll raise my hand from Zoom, but it didn't want to react, so here I am. Um, what you accept as your reality is going to be your reality. Now, if you're working on something and it's not the way you expected it, pause, take a breath, center yourself, and refocus on what it is you want. When you are aligned with your vision and your persona, it will happen for you.
Mhm.
Everybody makes mistakes. We all have to pivot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the challenge is starting. Just do it. Is that
Yeah.
Nike? Just do it. If you get it wrong, change direction, but don't change your focus on your definite chief aim. That's all.
Good point. Thanks, Albert. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else have anything they want to share on that? Um, so the second one, it talks about getting the whole picture before forming conclusions. One of the rules of accurate thinking is to avoid judging from fragments. A person who thinks accurately gathers all the important details before making a decision or reaching a belief. So do we, I see this work in my studies through the past several years. I see all of it as being part of where I'm at today. It's all of it helped me, you know, all of it has been a part of where I'm at. So, uh, yeah. So I love, so yeah, I'm just kind of a lost for words, but it's, yeah, Albert, go ahead.
I got to say this, Leroy, because I remember when you first started, you have grown immensely. Your understanding, your leadership, your drive is all focused on your definite chief aim. And I wanted to recognize that for you. You're doing great. Keep going.
Yeah, thank you, Albert. Yeah, it's all in my head. It's getting it out there. So yeah, thank you. Frank, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Leroy. And I'm just looking at page 126 in the journal and the action guide. There's a quote in there about accurate thinking. It says the ability to identify, hold, and express thoughts based on facts, proper hypothesis, or inferences that are relevant to your definite major purpose. So when we're talking about accurate thinking, we should be looking at it from the lens of how does this align with my definite major purpose? And I know one of the struggles that I have had many times in my life before, I can come up with good ideas, I can come up with, goals and ambitions of what I want to do. And my habit used to always be to ask somebody else's opinion before I moved forward. And now later in life, I sit there and say, well, what is it, what matter, what does their opinion matter? Why does that matter to me? If this is something I want, this is something I want to achieve, I should research, journal, figure things out on my own. And by the way, free advice is worth exactly that. It's free. It's worth nothing, right? And by the way, are they giving us advice based on substantial facts, or is it just their opinion? Right.
Mhm.
And so, accurate thinking, I think, really plays a major part in our abilities to make decisions. And that's the first thing we have to do. We have to identify the idea comes to mind, and we have to make a decision to act on it. And when we decide to act on it, we have to say, okay, how am I going to act on it? So these are all decisions that we have to make. But too often we find ourselves asking other people their opinions of what you're about to do. Hell, they don't know. They didn't do it. They didn't do it. For all we know, they're giving us an opinion based on someone else's failure who wasn't able to do anything because they didn't have the proper planning. You know, I mean, they can't, they can give us opinions, they can't give us advice unless they have the facts. So to be able to follow through with accurate thinking, you have to be able to research the facts. And the beauty of it is in today's day and age, we have access to all kinds of research. I've already heard in the room that today we've talked about AI. Okay, I'm just going to say it. I use AI all the time, but guess what? We don't know where those facts came from either,
Yeah.
right? So it's our responsibility to do our due diligence to figure out the reality of what it is that you're trying to accomplish, right? So I just wanted to share that. I thought that quote was powerful. I see
Yeah.
Albert's
Thank
got
you.
his hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. You mentioned AI. AI is artificial intelligence.
That's right.
I am AI, already intelligent.
Mm.
AI was created by man. Who did it? Do you know? You don't know. What is their goal? You don't know that either. They could say that it's to help humanity, but you really don't know the consequences of using these tools. And I'm not saying you shouldn't use AI, but there is a safe way and an unsafe way. If you're using public AI access, that's probably the unsafe way. If you have your own containers, which you control access to and where it can go, I'm much more comfortable with that because it can't get out of your jail until you tell it to try. And you all know already that AI has broken out of containers that had no access outside of it, but have found a way. Is that really the reality you want to get engaged with?
Yeah, I love that, Albert. You know, it's like let's use our own minds. We have the most powerful computer on our shoulders, every one of us. Every one of us has a computer of our own. And all of these, you know, Google, AI, all of these search engines that are out there, they're a test to pull you away from thinking for yourself. You know, what did Einstein do? What did
Exactly.
Franklin do? What did all these people do back in the day? They actually sat and thought. And I can't remember the doctor's name, but there's actually a doctor out there, and Napoleon talks about him in his book. And he had a private room, soundproofed. There was one switch for one light on a table. There was a pen and a piece of paper and a chair. And he would go into that room and he would think for ideas. They know what you couldn't disturb him. He was in there thinking. So don't allow all of this new technology to stop us from doing what we're supposed to do, which is to think for ourselves. Right? Just my
Mhm.
comments. Thanks, Albert.
Yeah. Thank you. I Yeah, thank you, Albert, because I love using ChatGPT because it gives me a lot of stuff. But I wanted to write a book, and it it would literally write the book for me. And there's so much okay, this is my thoughts. But like you said, it didn't really. I put in some information. So maybe the question here would be, how much can we do that? We put in information. What does it give us back actually? Because it pulls information from other sources or somebody put the information in there,
Sure.
right? Uh, so I'm just asking the question, uh, I would like to come from my own heart, write it and so that's one of my challenges now is to do that, get into a place alone and actually start, you know, see what comes instead of doing that way. Because I stopped using, I stopped writing the book until I can decide to get, okay, how am I going to proceed here? Michael, what have you got?
For helping you write your book there, buddy, because I've written a couple of them, you have to start with the end. Don't
Start with
start at
the
the
end.
beginning. Yeah, right. You never start at the beginning. Because every experience that we go through, whether you're writing a book, whether you're building a business, whether you're helping your children, like Zach was talking about so beautifully just the other day, right? They're in a transformational experience. If you're not transforming, if you're not having a transformative process with the person in front of you, we're just spending time, not investing it. And so if you're going to write a book, Leroy, here's what I want you to do, buddy. Identify who the book is for, because it's not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
If you write a book for everybody, no one wants to read it. Please write that down. If you write a book for everybody, no one wants to read it. Then you have to write who it's for, and then you have to write who are they at the end? Who are they transformed into at the end? Right? Phil and I have been working through the offer for his company, and the whole process, Phil, has been about who are these people, and 90 days later, 30 days later, whatever it is, who are they then? That's when we can identify actually what the book should be about, what should be inside it, right? You have to think about this as if they're coming into your restaurant and the book is a meal, right? Who are they before they show up, right? And who are they after they show up, right? What do you want them to feel? Okay, I want people of this ilk or this type of problem that they're facing and relatively this specific age in this part of the world. I want them to feel this way once they've read my book. I want them to be this type of person, right? Because then it narrows in the field of the book. Otherwise, it's just a journaling exercise, which has its own merits. But the fact is that if you want to write a book, which you probably should, buddy, you got great stuff. You have to define exactly what the book's purpose is and who that book is for, right?
Thank
Anyway,
you, Michael.
just my two
Yeah.
cents on the book writing.
That was a universe giving me what I needed, I think. So,
Yeah. And
um,
I want to just say one quick thing here, Leroy. I have a little saying in my head that when I'm thinking about an idea, you guys, like Frank was talking about who to go talk to, right? Like what do they know? And Albert was talking about the same kind of thing. I have this idea, guys, and maybe this makes sense for you. What persists exists.
mhm.
So if it keeps coming to me, right? Like if it keeps showing up in my head, right? I've got this post-apocalyptic um setting that I'm working on and writing short stories in and stuff like that. That setting will not go away. It's been bugging me for 25 years. It just won't leave. So that is something that whether you believe in God, whether you believe in something else, whether it's universal intelligence, whatever it is, that wants to push through and it certainly wants to push through via me. And so that thing persists. So whatever persists exists. So if you've got a great idea, right, like we were talking about, I'd journal on it, I'd think about it before I'd share it with anybody else. I would consider it, right? I'd let it sit, I'd let it rest, I'd get quiet, like we were talking about. And if it continues to show up, if it continues to take shape, if that statue of David continues to get more detailed in your mind, then it probably wants to exist, therefore it shall persist.
Yeah. Wow.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, no problem.
Zach, what have you got?
Um, yeah, what an amazing conversation. I want to just add my insights, I suppose. As far as like utilizing ChatGPT, um, like you can use it as a tool for sure. Instead of giving it the ideas of, hey, this is a book I want to read, you could use it to challenge yourself. Hey, what are what are some ways that would help me learn to write more efficiently? And then that can give you exercises. So then you're using it as a tool that can help you sharpen who you are, and then the way you write will reflect that because now you've put a piece into that algorithm that can now mirror that back to you and challenge you. It's just you challenging yourself, just using AI to really articulate that back to you in a way where it's like, oh, okay, I can fucking use this. It, you know, I don't know. I like to use AI as well, and I like to look at it as a tool that helps me grow, you know, not something to use as a crutch or something that I depend on. Um, and it has been that. It has been something that I've used as a crutch in my life. And that was like kind of shouted out to me like, oh, hey, something doesn't feel like it's in alignment right now with the way that I'm utilizing this. Um, and so that was a wonderful realization for me to kind of challenge myself in that. And then I also wanted to say real quick that I really like to exercise whatever in whatever ways. Like it doesn't have to be physical. Everything's a muscle, and the more repetition, the more we do something. So if you want to get good at writing, write more. And I don't remember who said it, but it was something about like warming up before you start doing something. So before I start to like write something, I'll I'll write for a while. I had wrote a poem not too long ago, and that was most certainly not the first thing I wrote. I wrote plenty of stuff before that. I'm like, oh man, this is kind of tough. And then that allowed me to get to a space where I was like, man, I feel like this is kind of forced. What can I do to really just allow myself to exist here without limitations and then experience this more authentically? And then boom, after a couple of pages of writing, now by the third one, dude, things were flowing. And it was it was very wonderful. So that was just what I had to add. But thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Phil.
Yeah, great points, Zach, and everybody's been making some great things too. It's really touching. And going along the idea of the accurate thinking, what comes to mind is a coach called Byron Katie who talks about this thing called the work. And then one of the things that when the talking when you hear something, it's to say, is this true? Is it harmful for me? Is it harmful for somebody else? And is it accurate? Is it real? Or is it just a perception? What I really love the idea too is that, we started off talking about our definite major purpose, and that's really part of who we're being when we have all these principles working with us, not just one principle, or the other. This accurate thinking is really part of our powerful mind. And I always go to the stick figure because it's an image for me. And in the image, everything that's, oh, how's a camera work here? There we go. No, that way. um, we have these filters. We have perception, our imagination, our will, the type of reasoning of thinking that we have. We have our memory and we have intuition, imagination. All those are filters in the conscious mind. That energy of the thought from somebody else, it comes into here. And if it just stays on the conscious mind, nothing happens. There's no seeds being planted. What we decide to put in here is it going to be positive or negative, and it's going to have that's our cause. And because of that cause, are we going to have the path where we go with fear, producing more anxiety? We're going to suppress those feelings that we've got. And because we suppress those, it got impressed into the subconscious mind. We suppress it, and it leads to disintegration, dis-ease in the body. If we, on the other hand, what are the thoughts that we're putting in to the subconscious mind, and what do we nurture? What do we allow to grow? That is a big, powerful thing. It's like, when you look at, there's a lot of political chaos in the world right now. And if we look at are people taking information and speculating, or do they, Michael, you said the thing is like people get locked into their actions that they're taking. They're locked into a certain group of people who may or may not have the accurate information. They simply don't want you to think the same thing that the other people are thinking. Instead of embracing a worldview, a global view of people all getting along and no individual, what's the word, standing by yourself type of country, you know. The words there are just not coming to mind at the moment. But the key is like, what is real, accurate thinking? Clarity. I think Albert, you said it's the clarity. The tools of artificial intelligence is a tool, and where can we collaborate there, as opposed to competing with each other or competing with, technology is not going to take our jobs. It's going to be a partner unless we choose. Our reality is that we're choosing that that's a competitor, and we're choosing that's going to take away this job. It's all about how we look at the world. And so accurate thinking is really the powerful way of allowing the thoughts that work. Are they in a positive direction or a negative direction? We talked about positive mental attitude last week. That's the same thing. Here's all of these things that are coming up. You can't talk about one without talking all the principles, because it's all about how we're being. So this is really inspiring conversation that you're bringing up. So thank you for leading us there, Leroy.
Thanks, Phil. Yeah, great points. So maybe this next one I'll ask in a way, do we says learn to distinguish cause from effect. How do we how do we look at things? He'll emphasize that accurate thinkers look beneath appearances. Do we look do we react to results, or do we search for the real cause behind conditions, problems, or success? There, does anybody have anything to share on that? Because success is not an accident, and all physical results are the cause of something that cannot be seen. So, yeah, that's something that most of us, growing up, I never realized. Most of us just look at the physical and think, we judge the person by or our own, results by our, just, well, this is just who I am. But that is, it's a result of 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 the way we think, the way we've been taught. Most of us don't have you know, we've all been given this programming as a little child. And so most of it is not even our own thoughts. They're thoughts from our generations ago. So how do we change that? Frank, go ahead. I see your hand up.
Yeah, Leroy, that what a great can of worms you just opened with that. If you do what you've always done, you'll get what you always got. And I think what Leroy just said is so accurate. We all come from a specific environment. We grew up in a specific environment, the family we grew up with, the people around us, the thought process that all the people around us had, the neighborhood you grew up in, a blue collar neighborhood, you notice they might live a little bit differently than the folks up on the hill. And so all of those things get implanted into your mind. And so, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you always got. So that leads me to believe that if I'm not getting what I want, I need to stop doing what I've always done. I have to look at what I'm doing and ask myself, is there another way? Not necessarily a better way. Is there another way? Is there something else I could be doing that will give me better results? Because the results I'm getting it's already been evaluated. It's not what I want. So if what I'm doing is not giving me what I want, I need to change what I'm doing, which means I need to break out of what Bob Proctor calls it. I have to break out of my paradigm. I have this
Mhm.
world around me that was built around me, not by me, by other people. And I accepted it because at the time of learning, I had no choice. I was given what I got. That doesn't mean it's the only way. And, so like, for example, I this past week I've kind of hit a roadblock with my weight loss, and I did a little bit of research and trying to figure, okay, why am I plateaued? What do I need to do to change? And the reality is when you change things in your body, things change. Everything changed. I'm not losing the weight. In fact, I dropped down to 156 and went back up to 158. Wait a minute, what happened? I was doing such a good job. But my waistline went back to a 32 from a 34. Something's changed, not the weight, but the physicality, right? So you have to understand that change is change, and just because it's changed doesn't mean it's bad. It's just different. And so for me, maybe it's time to stop watching the scale and start watching the results I'm getting from my consistent workouts, my consistent diet, my consistency of not drinking alcohol. All of these things are taking place. So if you're looking for specific results and you're not quite getting them, or you've got them and they all of a sudden plateaued, they stagnated, look at what you're doing and what the results could be and what other results are appearing that maybe you're not focusing on. So. Thank you, Leroy.
Thanks, Frank. Louis.
I hope I'm not breaking up. No, what you said right now, Frank, is exactly the reason why some people is so miserable. We can get 25 million things going on perfectly with your body. For those three or four that they're not what you feel or think that you need to get, is screwing everything up. So, and it just makes me wonder, how are we doing that? How is that reproducing or manifesting in different areas of our life, relationships, money, work, all that kind of stuff? We're always, because it's the conditioning. We're focusing on the no, on the what I didn't get. And like Napoleon Hill says, what is negative, what is bad is always available. It's always there. But also what is positive, what is good. So yeah, I agree. I still since I still fight. I'm not concerned about my weight. I am concerned about my waistline, how I feel, how I perform from everything, from intimacy all the way up to working and doing everything. That's the real how happy I am.
Yeah.
That's all I want to say.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you for that. I need, yeah, that gives me, it tells me where I'm at. It reminds me where I'm at. I tried losing weight and I did lose some, and yeah, I kind of lost my focus on it. So I got to get back to what 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 do I want to look like? Albert, go ahead.
Yeah, so I wanted to reinforce the conversation going on about what do you want to look like. This goes back to the statements I was making about the self-image. Um, I too have a 34-inch waistline now. I had a 42. I dropped 50 pounds. I didn't do it on crazy diets or anything like that. I did it because in my mind, I centered 180 pounds, 34-inch waistline, and that was my end goal. I went to the VA a couple months ago. I've converted my coverage back to VA. Private healthcare is not helping any of us. And I manage my own healthcare at the VA, so it's all cool. But when they first took a look at my height, weight, and everything else, they said, "Oh, you're 185 pounds." And I'm like, when did this happen? And I am a 34-inch waist. And that was my waistline when I graduated high school. I never anticipated being back there, but I did anticipate being healthy, leaner, and more fit. That was what I did in my self-image. And now I'm here to tell you I have to buy new clothes.
Yeah. Everything has a downside, Albert. Everything has a downside.
That is not a downside, my friend.
I love it. I love it.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing because
And Michael,
I
you're right. I did it. Be like Nike, just do it.
just, yeah, that's
Yeah,
what we need.
I think
Thank
that as I said, that's one of the traps about this concept, right, guys, is that we define an objective and we think we're done. Right? It's a molecular effect. There's a whole you go through dopamine and oxytocin and you go through the whole molecular effect once you define the objective. It feels great. But masturbation is not a relationship, right? Just because it feels great in the moment doesn't mean you did the it didn't happen. You ain't making babies by yourself, right? So the fact is that like there's no Albert did that through hard ass work, through discipline, through making specific choices
I
every
didn't do any
single.
hard ass work. I had it in my mind. That was my destination. I did no exercising.
No,
I
that's
did
fine.
eat. I
But
did eat
the
better
hard
food.
ass work, Albert, was you resisting the constant, relentless temptation to go eat shit.
You're right.
Right?
Because
That's
in
not
our
easy.
society today, they're feeding us freaking
Yeah.
garbage.
Yeah,
And marketer jerks like me are trying to find every single way we can to earworm our garbage into your mind, right?
That's right.
So it's like but the fact is that you performed a series of actions and you made a consistent series of choices that brought you to this place. You didn't imagine a place to go, wow, that was awesome. Sit back down on your chair and grab another bag of Doritos. That's not what you did. And
Right.
that's the problem that most people run into with this concept is they're told just to imagine where they want to go, visualize it, get clear, and everything's done. And that's not true.
you got to keep up with it.
You have to have one before the other. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you don't
Yes.
achieve one without the other, right? Anyway, I'll get off my
Thanks, Mike.
soapbox.
Thanks, Albert. Frank.
Yeah, thank you, Leroy. And we're coming up on the hour here. So my comment, and I just want to ride along with Michael's statement. You know, the interesting thing is that we set goals, we create new habits to achieve the goals that we want to achieve. And how often we all know people, maybe some of them are us, where we reach the goal and we'll stick with the diet routine and the waistline and the weight that you're at, and you achieve the goal. You achieve the goal because you changed certain things in your life. And then once you achieve the goal, what'd you do? Went back to the old habits that caused the body you didn't want, right? And
Yeah.
so we see that roller coaster ride that so many people go through in their lives. You know, what's really important is the habits need to change the person. So you change the person. I'm in the process of this right now. I'm 32 days alcohol free. Did I have a problem with alcohol? I don't know. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I just know that it's a lot of sugar and it caused me to gain a lot of weight. Now, at the end of my 66-day challenge, I can make a decision. I'm going to continue to abstain from alcohol or I'm going to go back to it. And what can I expect if I go back to it? The same results I got before. So we have to make
Mhm.
decisions, and the decisions change the person. The person has to change, not just the habit. The habit is the beginning, right? Well, actually, the beginning is realizing you have to change. It's something I have to change. And then you make the change, and then you achieve different results. And then you have to become a different person, or you're going to fall back into your old habits. Just my observation, my opinion. Okay. I see Luis's hand up, and then I'm going to take it in for a landing. Go ahead, Luis.
Yes, and it's true. Exactly what you said is true. But also, once we change and we reach to a different level, what they got up there is not going to keep working. So we have to keep evolving. And those new habits are the new standard, right? So the new standard becomes your comfort zone. You go from 5,000 a month or 1,000 a month to 3,000, and then you're okay with that. When your potential is 50,000,
Yeah.
right? So just wanted to, yeah.
I love it.
Love it. Thank
And
Michael also.
Alex gave us a wonderful statement here. Just effing do it. I
Yeah.
said effing, he didn't. Just effing do it, right? And that's a great thing. When you come up with an idea, if it makes sense to do it, just freaking do it. Just do it. And then see what happens. We can always adjust on the fly, right? We can always adjust. We can always tweak it. Hey, I just wanted to give you a quick reminder, guys. Sunday morning, early Sunday morning, I sent out an email to all of you, and it was it's a blog post. I'm going to start doing every Sunday, and I probably didn't do it right. I did it as an attachment, so you're going to read the email, then you got to open it up, and it talks about the science of personal achievement and the book study that I do on Wednesdays, Atomic Habits, and I'm kind of connecting the two. And I'm going to share that as a weekly blog every Sunday morning, just to give people something to think about what we're talking about and what we're doing, right? If you want to join the book study, it's Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Just send me a quick message. I'll send you the link. So I've invited all you guys here, and I've invited all the men who are in my book study to come here if they're not there. So that's all I got for you today. Anyone else have a final comment? Alex,
Thank you.
go, buddy.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you,
All
guys.
right. Take care, guys. Have a great
Talk
week.
to you
We'll
soon.
talk to you next week. All right.
Thanks
Be
all.
well.
Good night.
Just do it.
Just do it.